Okay, hello everyone. This should be video number 5, which I will be discussing essay number 1. Here this is on the assignment sheet, so this should be the first video you should watch on week 2. So starting Monday, September 10th. So before I get started, I'm going to talk about this assignment sheet, but this isn't the only video and the only thing we're going to be doing towards this essay. A lot of the commonplace book entries we're going to be doing in relation to this, so don't just watch this video and think that you know everything. This is just the beginning discussing the first essay. Everything we're going to be doing between now and when the essay is due is going to be specifically for that first essay. So if you notice, it is a narrative, so I'm going to talk about the first week is going to be discussing writing in general, so kind of the writing process and discussing writing, kind of give the third week giving you an example essay. Going to talk about that. That's going to be really helpful, talking about what a narrative is, and then reading some example professional narratives, okay, and discussing them analytically. And then we're going to have peer review. Also, everything we're going to be doing between now and when the essay is due on October 4th will be for that narrative. So please don't just watch this video and think you're done, okay? Because everything we're going to be doing is for that. Okay, so here's the assignment sheet. You can find this assignment sheet on Blackboard. It will be under the Assignments tab. And if you see this here, essay number 1, assignment sheet, that's what I'm going to be looking at today. All right, so that's going to be this assignment sheet. So if you want to pull that up yourself, look at that. This is what I'm going to be discussing. But don't just read it. Please watch the rest of this video. The full essay will be worth 100 points. It is 2 to 3 double-spaced pages. Okay, so I have this at the top, double-spaced. I'll pop up again. The peer review, will, as discussed in the syllabus, will be worth 10% of the grade, so it will be worth 10 points. As you see, and I'm going to go back to the syllabus just for a second. Here on this syllabus, I have this here also on the assignment sheet. So the two places you can see the peer review requirements are going to be, the due dates are going to be on the syllabus and on the assignment sheet. You're going to submit the first peer review draft on that Monday. So you're going to upload that to Google Docs, and you can watch that peer review video number 11. And then by Tuesday, you're going to look at everybody in your groups. You're not going to look at the whole entire class, but I'm going to put you in the groups of 3 or 4 people, and you're going to look at your peers' essays, comment on them, fill out a peer review sheet, and then upload that, and that is due Tuesday the 2nd by 11:59 p.m. And the final draft of the essay is due Thursday, October 4th. So you have that Wednesday in there. And again, as I said in the syllabus videos, you can submit an essay to me. I can comment on that, but please do give me a week, at least at 7 days, in order to do that. So if you do want to submit one for commenting a rough draft, please do that by Thursday, September 27th. So start ahead. Be thinking about that. If on this Wednesday you go, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to email. I'm not going to have time. All right. I think I have about 85 students this semester, so I'm not going to have time to actually look at that. So please give me that full week. Now, if you have any specific questions on that Wednesday, you were very specific saying, I'm not quite sure about this or that, you can email me specific questions, but don't send me a whole draft to comment on, okay? So going back to this assignment sheet, so I have the requirements up here as I just discussed, and you are going to be writing a narrative, which is basically a story about yourself, reflecting on yourself, and this could be really anything about yourself. It could be sad. I've had students write about car crashes before, and an illness they might have. I also have had students write about happy things. I had a student once who wrote a narrative. It was actually a pretty decent narrative about one time where she was babysitting her younger brother, and the house almost caught on fire because he decided to overpop popcorn. So the biggest thing here is with the story. We're going to analyze this semester a lot. Critical thinking is going to be a huge proportion of this class. Like, huge. Number 1 priority is going to be critical thinking. So down here, how to begin, I have some basic ideas about how to start, because when I say it could be about anything about yourself, the hardest part sometimes is become, wait, what am I supposed to write about? Again, it doesn't have to be sad. Note that in this essay, your peers are going to be reading it. I'm going to be reading it. So if you don't want anybody else to know about what you're writing about, choose a different topic. Okay. So this is going to be, the narrative is going to be the assignment, but your choice about what that narrative is up to you. Okay. So if you're confused, you don't know what you're going to write about, here are some basic questions. This isn't where you're going to end up. This is where to start, where to begin. So ask yourself some initial questions about yourself to start dissecting who you are. So it could be, where are you from? What schools did you attend? What was your favorite pet as a child? I have here I security questions from a website. So those security questions that a website might ask in order for them to verify your identity. This is just to get yourself thinking. So maybe you moved around a lot as a kid, or oftentimes the topics we have in narratives, my students have to think about it a lot in order to actually come up with the one event or one story that is going to be helpful for them to write about, that's going to be purposeful for them. It's not the same for everybody, so don't just think, oh, this person wrote about, their brother's illness or something, I have to write about mine. That's not what this is going to be about. You can have students write about anxiety. Last semester I had students write about like their brother's autism. It could be about anything in your life that has affected you. There are a lot of requirements here. Analysis is the big one. We're going to analyze a lot this semester, as I just said. But the purpose for starting a narrative is because if you don't know yourself, nobody's going to know this. So we're starting with the thing that you probably are going to know best about, and then at the second, third essay, we're going to start analyzing other texts. So think of yourself as a text. Think of your life as a text. We're going to be analyzing yourself, and this narrative and story is going to be that. So your narrative should be a story. Do begin your thinking process with the basic information. Again, but there should not be where your final draft should end up. So in order to analyze and think critically, you're going to start small and basic and then move on from there. Your narrative should have a purpose, which is extremely huge. If your narrative does not have a purpose, the essay is going to get a really low grade. And what I mean by that is, as a reader, okay, we're talking about you are writing for yourself, but you're also writing for other people. You're writing for an audience. So if I, as a reader, don't know why you're writing this essay beyond the fact that I assign this essay, that's gonna, what's the purpose, okay? So everything you write depends, no, that does not matter. If you're writing, a Facebook post or essay for this class, everything you write should have, like, this is why I'm writing this, all right? So starting to think about audience, thinking about readership. So you ask yourself in everything you write for this class, how is this going to be perceived for an audience, for a reader? In my peer review group, how is this going to be perceived? When you're, as a reader for the peer review group, asking yourself, how is that perceived? So audience is going to be huge for the rest of this class, and we're going to start on here thinking about this. So why are you writing this? So it could be something incredibly interesting. It could be something like, okay, when I was a kid, I got in a car crash. But is there anything more beyond the fact that you got in a car crash? Does it affect you later in life? Why is that car crash important to you? Why is that going to be important for other people to read? Is it going to give them inspiration that they can overcome what you did? Is it going to give them, a warning? So, hey, maybe whatever your dad did now, or your mom did, or whoever was driving at that time when you were a kid, don't do that yourself. Why is it that you're writing this? And the two professional essays that we're going to read, I'm going to talk about purpose too within those essays. So, ask yourself, why are they writing this too? So ask yourself, what might make this interesting and creative? What might your reader, me, not expect, yet still appropriate to the writing context in the classroom? So I think number one is going to be purpose. Other questions, how might your narrative, without saying something overly general, okay? For example, if you should say, I love art, or my town has beliefs and behaviors, I'm from X town, and they have these attributes. Why does it matter that they have attributes? Everything you do, everything you write, asking yourself, why does this matter? Why is this relevant? Why is this significant in any way? A lot of those questions we're going to be asking throughout the semester. Those are going to be so important. Why? Pretend you're a little kid. Some of you may have children or little nieces and nephews or children in your life. You probably get annoyed when they say, Mommy, Daddy, Aunt, Uncle, why do they do this? Why do they do that? Why is that kid? Don't have to be that annoying, but ask yourself, why is this interesting? Okay, that's going to be something extremely necessary what we're going to go towards in this class. And that's another one of the reasons for those complex book entries. My commentary on those entries are going to be important. I'm going to be pushing you as well. So do look at the commentary on that too. Why do you love art, and what kind of beliefs and behaviors does your town have? Why is that important? What makes your observation significant? Why does that matter to you in your analysis of yourself? So try and go beyond the obvious. So again, ask yourself those basic questions that might be obvious, but go beyond that. Okay. Have clear and concise language. So should be grammatically free. Okay, free of grammatical errors. Have a clear purpose. Okay, so I meant to say clear and concise purpose. So it should be very clear. You don't have to say, I am writing this narrative because. Actually, I would advise not doing that. Through your writing, it should be clear why you're writing this essay. So in your writing, you can use the word I. That is something that a lot of students I've had before go, oh, no, I can't use the word I. But it's very difficult in a narrative to say, when I was 5 years old, I got in a car crash. It's really difficult to say that sentence without the word I. Thinking how your reader your audience is going to react to that. If you say, I believe, I think, I know, those are a little weaker, that's a little bit weaker language. But if you're saying, I have this experience, that's so hard to say without using the word I. So, make this personal, make this about yourself. I encourage you, use the word I. Talk about yourself, analyze yourself. This is going to be what this paper is. Be organized, have a clear paragraph structure. So that's what we're going to talk about in the example essay. In the complex book entries that first week, we're going to talk about paragraph formation as well. So see those videos too. But if you can take your paragraph and copy and paste it and put it someplace else in the story, and it still makes perfect sense, it's not done. And that's going to be for all the essays we're going to discuss this semester you're going to write for me. So no 5-paragraph essays. That should be relevant from the other videos and the writings we're going to discuss from the second week of class. Of course, MLA format, Times New Roman, 12.5, 1 inch margins. Have your name on it. Okay, please have I know your email with me, but have your name on it. So peer review is going to be Google Docs, and the submission of this essay is going to be via email, okay, and the final due date. If you have any other questions, again, I am looking at my computer and I'm just describing this. If you have any other questions, please post them on that FAQ, frequently asked questions on Blackboard before emailing me, because if you have similar questions, your classmates might have the same too. But it's going to be very important here. 2 to 3 double-spaced pages. A page and a half is not 2 pages. Okay, so if you have 1 page and a half, that's not the same. So you have to have at least 2 pages. If you write more than that, if you write it on the 4th page, I'm not going to take points off. But please don't write a 10-page paper. Okay, I have a lot of these to read, and it's going to take a lot longer. So don't write over that. So this is kind of my video for the essay number 1, the narrative. When you submit these essays, I will email them back, and that will be my commentary. So again, if you have any questions, please post them on the FAQ. And thank you.